Okay, so today's session we are going to discuss a new topic called harness. Okay, so what is harness and what is its importance? See, basically, this harness rule main thing is in this we can call sections. We can call. Okay, so the thing is in Pega application there are some predefined harness are there. First, we are going to understand what is predefined harness. Then I'll discuss one rule how to create a user-defined harness. See, basically in Pega already some predefined harness will be running in the backend whenever we execute any flow or whenever we execute any transaction. So some predefined harness will be running in the backend. And basically harness is a user interface rule in that we are going to map sections. See, earlier we know flaction, right? Like flaction, local action, in that we will be adding section, right? But in harness we can add one or more sections we can add. Generally, flaction or local action is a collection of one section, but harness is a collection of multiple sections. Okay, so more than minimum one and more than one section also we can add in this harness role. And basically, in which cases we'll be using means if you want to display any pop-up windows, if you want to display any menus, or if you want to display any replace current page. So in such a formats and all, we are going to use this harness option. Generally, local action will be using as a see this also will use for internal pages only. Some other advantages and differences between flaction and harness I'll discuss in the end of class. I'll discuss. Okay. So before that, so this harness is nothing but a container of multiple sections. So flaction means container of one section, but harness is container of one or more sections. Minimum one also you can include, and more than one also you can include based on the requirement. So first of all, today I'll start with what are predefined harness. See, in Pega platform already, so there will be some built-in harness will be running in the backend. In that mainly three are there. The fourth one will be internal purpose. We can't see that one and we can't modify that one. So, but mainly three types of harness will be running in the transaction whenever we execute any flow. Three types of harness will be executing in the backend. So those are called as new harness, perform harness, and confirm harness. See, what is the new harness means? This will be disabled by default for every flow. We have, if suppose any particular specific requirement is there, means we have to enable that setting, and we can customize these new and perform harnesses. We can customize. Okay, so some cases new harness and perform harness we can customize. Okay, and the other two types are perform and confirm. Perform and all, when it will be coming means, so during transaction when you open your work object page, all the template is there, right? All that work object template is displayed under perform harness, and we have some confirm harness. After you completely submit the transaction, the confirmation page will be getting with the case information and all. So that is nothing but confirm harness, that no need to update maximum. Only any customization if you want to do, we will do for the new and perform harness we are going to do. So that is before work object display. This is by default disable. New harness will be disabled for every transaction. So before work object display will be getting this new harness, and during work object display will be getting this perform harness, and after submitting the work object will be having this confirm harness. So these are the mainly three predefined harness we will be getting in the transaction life cycle. Okay, automatically these are Pega built-in harnesses, and if requirement is there we can customize. New and perform harnesses we can customize. Okay, and if you want to know in these particular built-in harnesses, generally in Pega there is one tool is there, live UI. The purpose of that live UI tool is in your application any UI design if you want to debug, it can be predefined ones or user defined UI design if you want to debug. So by using live UI tool we can debug. Okay, so let's see how to use this live UI first of all, and how you display these perform harness and confirm harnesses are new harnesses in the application, and how to customize new and perform harness we are going to understand today. So first of all, let's see how to use this live UI tool. Okay, so for this try to execute any flow. run customer flow or insurance flow in your application. See, on loading, actually, the new harness is disabled, I told, right? So, on loading, before loading work object page, new harness will be there, but that will be disabled for every flow. How to enable, I'll show you. And what are the form displayed right now? This is under perform harness. The complete form, whatever you see. So, this form is available under perform harness page, and these are all the some internal. See, harness means, I told, it is a collection of multiple sections. So here header is one section, this flaction part is one section, and right side this case details come under one section, open assignments come under one section, like that. It is a combination of multiple sections. So harness is a collection of one or more sections. And if you want to identify what are the names of these sections internally, so if you use this live UI next to the clipboard, you can see next to the clipboard you can see the live UI tool. Click on that. After opening the work object page, click on live UI tool. That is toggle that one. And which portion if you want to know, see this entire part and all, I told that it is available under perform harness, right? See, it will take some time to choose all the portion. So only choose the work area part, work area panel part. So you can see the name in the blue color highlighted part. You can see the name as perform harness. So your work object form and all, it is available under perform harness. Again, in this perform harness, many sections are there. If you see the header one, py case header outer is the section name. Py case header outer. Then if you see this case details part, if you select the case details, so py case details is the section name. And if you see the flaction part, py case action area is the name of the section, like that. See, we can identify inside this perform harness what are all the sections we have, or if not only the predefined one, any user defined section they create also. If they want to identify what are the sections, what are the layouts inside that, what are the different types of controls they have inside that particular section, all those things they can identify by using live UI tool, or all those things they can view or debug using live user interface tool. Okay, so that will identify the what is the complete perform, what is the harness name, what are the section names, and inside that what are the layout names and all, they can identify by using live UI tool. They can identify, so like that. Okay, again if you want to remove this live UI, again click on the live UI option, it will be removed, like that. If you submit this, the next the next one which is displaying, this is called confirm harness page. Okay, in the confirm harness you'll get some common things which are displayed in the perform harness. You'll get some messages and all, work ID, again some common things what we have in perform harness, that will also display in the confirm harness also. Again in this, if you want to know what is the name of harness, what are the section names in this, again toggle live UI, and see this entire thing. If you select, I'll show you, wait few seconds. So you can see the name of harness as confirm harness. Okay, so because this entire after completing the transaction, after submitting the transaction, so the end page will be displayed under confirm harness. During work object form and all, it will be displayed under perform harness, like that. One harness will be there before loading the work object page. There is one harness called new harness, but that will be disabled for every flow, it will be disabled. Okay, and here also you can see some section names, py case header outer, and here some confirmation screen is there, right? Py confirm message. Okay, like that. Some participants, like that. These are all some subsections we'll be having internally, but don't worry, we don't customize the confirm harness, we don't customize the confirm harness. Okay, so like that, not only predefined things, any user defined sections, if you try to access in application, if you want to debug and understand what are the names of sections or what are the layouts used in that particular sections, so by using this live UI tool like this, we can identify them, and we can identify the names, and we can just if any modifications if you need, you can also do the necessary modifications. But again, how to do the modifications we'll understand next topic. So now that is about the how to use the live UI tool. Now I want to show you what is new harness and how to customize the new harness. See, basically new harness and all by default for every flow it will be disabled. Okay, only but in the background, even though it is disabled, that is you cannot view that new harness. In the background, it will be executing in the backend in order to see wherever these whenever we execute the flow, the work ID is creation, the ID is creation in the background, the commit functionality. So all those things, the form creation, the forms which we are displaying in the backend. So all those things are responsible. That is, all those things will be executed and displaying based on the new harness only. Even though it is disabled, that particular view is disabled. In the background, new harness is responsible for generating many things in the runtime. Okay, but if you want to particularly view that new harness, some setting is there, and if you open that, if you do that setting, we can also customize the display of the new harness. Okay, so any new UI designs if you want to add in the new harness also we can add. Okay, so basically new harness get displayed when we run a flow, but it will be by default it will be not displayed. Okay, so the thing is new harness will be available in the runtime, but in the background it is going to means it is not enabled in the runtime. Okay, by default it is not enabled. So new harness will display before any case gets created, but this being called under the process tab of flow by default. So if you want to enable that new harness, or if you want to display that new harness, if you do one setting in the process tab of flow, then we can display the new harness. Okay, so but by default it will be, by default new harness will be disabled. Okay, it is not enabled by default. So if you want to display that particular new harness, we have to apply some setting. I'll show that setting. So new harness is responsible for creating the following things in interviews. If they ask you, you can say, so it will be executing some APIs in the background. What are the APIs are, you have to remember them. So new form or new. Okay, this will allow you to create a, it will call the workflow and execute that one. So this is responsible, this API is responsible for this thing. It will add a flow, like a new case will be created based on some API call add or add work, or generate ID responsible for creating the, say some prefix and number is generating, right? So this is responsible based on that work ID prefix and all we are creating. This particular API will be executed in the background. Okay, and we'll save the data some to the differ queue or to the work table. So we'll save and commit that data. So in the background it will be executing these APIs. Save and commit will be executed in the background. So whenever this any flow is executed in the background, though this new harness is not displayed in the runtime, so it will be automatically executing these APIs in the runtime. Okay, though it is not displayed or not viewed in the runtime, but it will be executing these methods in the, not methods, these APIs in the backend. Okay, just by heart them. And now let's see how to enable the new harness. And in this new harness I want to implement some new user interface design. It's like some search functionality I want to include, and based on that the thing is I want to implement say search functionality. Okay, so in that, if customer is already existing customer, means directly jump to transaction design. See, in the perform harness we have these customer designs, vehicle design, transaction designs and all, right? Suppose in the new harness only it will identify whether the customer is existing or new customer. If customer is existing one, means directly jump to the transaction form. If customer is new customer, means then only display the customer section. That is the requirement. Actually we need to apply some decision condition in the process flow we have to apply. Okay, so but initially how to open the new harness or how to enable the new harness, let's see. And this we are going to do for the insurance flow. I'm going to do this. So because again for every flow we have to do it separately. If I want to enable new harness for any flow individually, open that particular flow, and this we are doing for the insurance flow. So insurance flow, for that I'm doing this scenario. See, go to process tab. So go to process tab. Okay, in my application, I think, see, rule set security is disable or enable. Let me check once. Okay, it is disable only. So, but one thing I told you earlier. Okay, so if you are going to open any rules which are in old versions, okay, see, the thing is, now the latest version is 010102, right? But what are the rules we have in old version? It will be there in lock mode. That is, if I want to now edit this particular rule, we have to use save as option, so that the rule will be moved to new version. Then I'm going to do the modifications. Move the rule to new version 010102. Now under this I'm going to do the modification, because in the locked version directly I cannot customize the rules. Now here I can apply this setting. See, in the process tab you will get an option called skip create harness. By default this box will be enabled. So the thing is, in order to display the new harness, we need to disable this checkbox. So it will be enabled by default. Disable this checkbox, so we will get the new harness will be displayed. Save it. After you uncheck this, save the transaction. Now try to run the transaction. See, previously directly we used to get the perform harness page, but now you'll be getting this new harness which contains all the properties used in your design. So it will load all the properties with some participants work parties information. The thing is, I want to block this design, the default design which is showing here. I want to block this, and header is there here also. Header is there with some buttons, so this I want to keep as it is. But what are the default design it is having, so that I want to replace with my customer search functionality in the new harness. Okay, see, basically, so this is the first setting. So in order to display the new harness, so disable this checkbox, skip create harness checkbox, we have to disable. Okay, now try to open the new harness from the process tab itself. Excuse me. See, from the process tab itself, you can see there is a name here, new harness name will be there. So open this one from here. This is a predefined rule, guys. Okay, so open the new harness, and any predefined rule, again, if you want to customize, it will be there in lock mode by default. You have to again use save as option and move the rule to your latest user defined rule set and user defined rule set version. So use save as option and move the rule to new version. But here one thing I want to correct is, see, the thing is, here I want to implement the search functionality in this design. The thing is, see, new harness is a predefined rule, and I'm going to map the section from my work layer. See, is it possible to map the subclass rules to parent class? See, work hyphen, this particular new harness is in the work hyphen classes, but my sections are there in the work layer. See, work layer rule I cannot map it in the parent class. I cannot map, because according to inheritance, parent class rules we can reuse in subclasses, but subclass rules I cannot use it in the parent class. So what you need to do means, so when opening this particular rule, so update the class to work layer, we have to update. So here give the name as your work class group name. No need to change the name of rule, but only update the class name and click on open. So then only we can use this customer search functionality section in the particular harness, new harness. And now how to customize, let's see. How we can customize this, you can see header part I'm keeping same as it is. So here harness contains some templates again. See, if you open these layout settings, you'll be getting a layout called screen layout in harness. If you open that, some 6 to 7 templates you'll be getting. Okay, I'm going with the default template only because header part and this UI page is required. And the second panel, some default section is there, right? So we are going to replace that with, see, in the previous classes already we have some customer search section. In that we already have all the functionality defined. See, same I'm using again now. See, remember, if you earlier we worked on OBJ open functionality, right? So at that time we created this section called customer search section. See, same is required in this case also. I'm reusing that one. Okay. Again, no need to define all the business logic already. So all the design, business logic, everything is configured under this section. So same we are using now. So use this section, customer search section, submit and save the design. So now what is the next step is, and go back to your insurance flow. Go back to insurance flow. So we need to apply some decision making now. That is, after the start shape, I need to use decision shape and apply these condition. Okay, see here we need to apply some boolean condition. So like if condition, if the customer is valid customer means directly go to transaction from. If invalid customer means go to customer design. Okay, so open these settings. See, not to apply such conditions, we can use a condition type called Boolean expression, because in the previous classes, customer exist one checkbox property is already created, right? And that is used to apply the visibility conditions in the customer search section. So, in order to now we have to apply this function and condition type called Boolean expression and open expression builder here. You can open expression builder. See, there is a function called equals ignore case. Whenever any Boolean conditions if you want to apply, the function name is equals ignore case. So choose the function and I need to fill the parameters. So string 1, string 2, two parameters will be there for this function. Okay. So the thing is the property used in the previous classes in order to apply the visibility conditions is customer exists. And whenever we apply the boolean conditions, we'll apply always true condition will apply, right? So use the value as true. Use the value as true. Now click on submit. Okay, so it will populate two connections. It will populate one true value and one false value. So true will connect towards the transaction assignment. If customer is valid customer means it will directly jump to transaction. If customer is invalid customer means then it will display customer design. Okay, but one thing we have to update is open this false connector. Here we need to change the condition type to else we have to change, because there is no separate result given in the function settings. So in the condition type for false you have to change to else you have to change, then only it will work. Okay, make sure you update this setting manually. Change the condition type to else for the false connector. So for true connector means it will be there as a true value, but for the false connector change the type to else you have to change, then only your condition will work. Now save the design. So once again I'll repeat these steps. See, first of all we open this new harness from the process tab of flow. If you click on this new, open this box, so new harness will open, and try to use save as option. And at the time of save as option, change the class name to work layer, because in this particular design we are mapping user defined section we are mapping. So change the class name to work class group name. Then in panel 2 settings, replace the section with the customer search section. That is the name in my application. So in your application, what is the name given, use that one. So update the section and apply this decision making under the insurance flow. So use decision shape and use the condition type as boolean expression, and use the function equals ignore case and fill the parameters. And after submission it will populate these results true and false. So true connector will connect towards transaction assignment, and false connection towards the customer assignment. So maybe sometimes in your application it may throw errors when you try to save that. So double click on the connectors and submit. And what you need to do means, for the false connector, change the connection type to LC, how to change compulsory. Okay, so then apply these changes, and the next step is verify. Run this transaction, run insurance flow. See, now you'll be getting this new harness page with the search functionality. So if you enter a valid input, see, this is a valid input in my application. So according to the records I have in my table, if I click on done, it should directly jump to transaction form, because customer is existing customer means it will directly jump to transaction form without displaying the customer design. So execute once again. This time I'll give invalid input, or if you directly click on done button, if I directly click on done, or if I give any invalid input, it will say customer is invalid. In this case it will display compulsory customer form, it is going to display, so that user can fill the new details in the customer form. So like that we can apply some any functionalities like a search or any particular functionalities if you want to add in the new harness. Like this we can configure. Not only this, like any other requirement if we get, so we can update the new harness. So per flow one new harness will be defining, okay, not more than one. Okay, so like that in the new harness, what is the built-in template we have, we can customize according to our requirement. And like that we can also update the perform harness also, we can update. See, already I told you perform harness. In the perform harness we have multiple designs are there, right? So header, flag action area, case details, case information, and operator information will be there under one's internal subsection called px local action. Okay, see, actually I have given the names. Again, if you want to identify these names using live UI, you can also identify and check once again. Okay, I told you how to use the live UI, right? Same way I've directly given the names here. If you want to check them, okay, this one you cannot check it directly because it will be there under some internal section called px local action. See, the thing is, in some applications in perform harness, so we are getting many things, right? So only they will put the mandatory things and they'll remove the options or pages which are not required. See, in perform harness, what are mandatory means, header is mandatory because compulsory work id, case status, everything will be loaded, and action drop down also will get in the header option, and your flaction area is compulsory required. And apart from that, what is the other requirement is, see, whenever we running any transaction, this operator information is mandatory. That is what is the name of the work object and what is the name of operator and all. So if it is any routing sudden, they can check based on the operator information, they can check. And this particular part and all, it will be available under a section called px local action, that is common in any version. So that's directly I've given the name of section. So if you want to identify the names of above other sections, you can also identify using live UI tool. Also you can identify in the real time. Okay, now my requirement is I want to customize this perform harness also. See, perform harness is the main harness which is responsible for loading your UI design. See, under the assignment connector, when you provide the flaction details, so it is displaying those details in the runtime means. So in the perform harness only it is displaying. So under every assignment settings, you will be having this perform harness name will be having. And now I want to customize the template of the perform harness such that I want to display only header part, flaction area part, and the open assignment link only I want to display. That is operator information, and you'll be having some tool called VeriMy tool internally. So only those three things only I want to display. Okay, so here the names of sections I have given. Okay, if you want to again track using live UI, you can track them again. So let's see any perform harness. See, if you open any assignment in application, you'll be having perform harness. So where you can find out means, so try to open any assignment shape. So we are now customizing the template of the perform harness. So you can open the built-in rule. See, if I update in one one rule here: everywhere in every flow or in entire application, this perform honest template will be updated. Okay, not only in one UI design or one page, anywhere if you use perform honest, everywhere it will be updated. Under advanced settings, assignment details, if you open, so here you can see perform honest name will be there in every assignment. Okay, so here from here I'm going to open this perform honest, and as it is we have to use save as option. But this time all the names, all the section names are under these are all predefined rules only, not user defined rules. So in this case, no need to update the class name, so it is there in the work hyphen classes, so there only we are going to customize. But use save as option, we need to use save as option. This time no need to change the name of class, because all the predefined rules will be available under work hyphen only. So click on open. But what we need to do means delete all the complete template and manually add them. Okay, so what are the previous template we have, delete the template completely. So like open, click on any panel and delete that one. Delete option is there, right? Delete. Like that second panel is there, just delete that one. Okay, so now you can see it will have two panels, but if you want to change any template here, open layout settings. Actually here I need three designs are required to add, so I'm going to choose a template as a header, content and footer. I'm going to choose. Okay, in header I'll be adding the header part, and in the toolbar panel I'll be adding these operator info, and in between in the content part I'll be adding this flaction area. Okay, only these three things I want to display from next time. So enable the, choose the template and submit this. So we'll be getting three things. So open each one, open first one and see py case header outer is the name of section. See, if you don't know the names of sections I have given in the document, guys. Okay, if you don't need, no need to remember, but if you remember, maximum in all 8 versions the names are same. If you want to remember, you can remember, or you can also identify or debug using live UI tool also you can debug. So then submit this. So in the runtime, this case layer name, work ID details, case status, all the local action information, everything will automatically load in this particular design. Then add this second one, py case action area, which is your flaction name or view will be loaded. Py case action area. So this will load your flaction UI design with buttons and everything will be loaded. And the third one is, actually third one is called parameterized section. Okay, it is some internal section, built-in section only, but it will contain some parameters. We need to fill some parameters, because that is called as a parameterized section. The name is px local action, but this px local action you will not get directly in the drop down. Again you have to go to more option here. In the initial drop down you will not be getting. See, in order to add this, go to more option. Scroll down and click on more and select this option px local action, and it is a parameterized section, and inside this we need to give flaction details and some boolean values. So here you will be having one option called show submit, so give it as false, and you'll be having an option called action name. See, in this particular section, so we are going to call one flaction called py case content gadget. So type it manually, py case content gadget. Okay, so if you don't know means you can also copy paste from the document here, given the names, not this one. So I've given a name here, you can also directly copy paste that one. So that is a parameterized section which contains some parameters, and here mandatory parameter is so we need to define this fraction name. We have to define. Okay, it is a built-in kind of design. Just we need to map it accordingly, and here give the option as false. Okay, so submit and save the design. So now if you run any transaction, now the template will be getting, if you see, execute any flow, so you'll be getting a new template, header, fraction area, and in the bottom you can see operator information will be loaded. Okay, only like that. Any customization in Perform Harness, these three are mandatory. So most of the time they will only keep these three things in the transactions. Okay, so like that, these are the predefined harness. New and perform we can customize, and confirm no need to customize. Confirm always the template will be same. And there is something called review harness, that is for internal purpose. We can't see that one, or we cannot customize that one. Okay. Now we'll see an example how to work on these user defined harness also. So in application sometimes we'll be creating some user defined harness too. Let's see one example. See, in this time I'm going to add only one section only. See, minimum one, sometimes more than one section. In the last two examples we have seen more than one section how to use, but in this example I'm only adding one section as per the requirement. See here, mainly I want to show you, see pop-up windows and all, if I want to display, we'll be using harness again. Okay, so I want to add this requirement for the see again, I want to do this requirement for the new harness template. See, in the previous example, if I give the input, so results are displaying in the same page, right? But my requirement is when I search for this functionality, so it should display these results in a pop-up window. Okay, if you need to display any records in a pop-up window, only harness will support in Pega. Okay, only through harness I can achieve that particular requirement. So the requirement is in the search functionality, if an input is given, so display the results in a new pop-up window. So to achieve this, only through harness we can achieve. So what I need to do means, in the application, open customer search section and remove the results form from that particular search section. Open customer search section, no, not search section, the results section you can open. Let's see customer search only, right? Let me check. In customer search section only, right, we have these subsections and all, and label. So in the search section, what I'm going to do means, I'm going to remove the label. Okay, but this is in version 1, so any modifications, use save as option, click on open. Now what I'm going to do means, delete this label also I'm going to delete, and also delete the results page. Okay, I'm only keeping input property and button only I'm keeping. See, I'm going to create a new harness for the results page. So already we have a subsection, right? So add a new harness now. See, harness is a user interface rule. Go to user interface harness. So I'm giving some name as customer results harness. See, in this we are going to map only one section, that is results section I'm going to map. See, generally you'll get a drag and drop, or if you open panel settings, you can also select the name from the down arrow. See, we have this section called customer results section. So in the drop down you can choose. Separately I'm creating a harness for this. Now the thing is, harness and all we don't map in the only predefined harness, you will map it in the flow, but any harness created will map it in the control settings, menu settings, or in the some button control settings, like that we are going to map. Okay, so now open this search section. Now in search section, under the button settings, we need to launch that harness option. Okay, the reason is, when I click on the button only, right, it should display the results in a pop-up window. So for the results page, separate harness is created. and this particular harness I need to call it in the button actions I need to call. Already event is set for this, and for one control many actions we can set. Already for this some earlier search control and search functionality is set. Now we are setting one more action we are setting in this case. So event is already there, add one more action. So the thing is launch harness is the name of action. Launch harness is the action name, and accordingly we need to fill the parameters here. See, by default if you see the target is a pop-up window is there, and our requirement is also pop-up only, and here we need to fill the parameters. So give the name of harness, and see the thing is the results we need to display. This is nothing but review harness. Some internal harness will be there in application, I told, right? Any response if you want to display in read-only format. In this case actually we are fetching and displaying the results in the page, right? So in this case the results will display in read-only format only, so automatically it will be read-only will be S will be there, so no need to change. But some cases if any manual input is required means then we need to change to no, we have to change, but always by default it will be yes, but some cases we have to change to no also. When user input is required means we have to select no, we have to choose. And height and width and all if you want to set you can set. I'm not setting. By default it will display in a default window with a default width and height, but in the real time they can also set the height and width of the window. So click on submit and save the design. So like that we can also create user defined harness, and now check the output. Execute insurance flow. See in the new harness now if I give any input for this property, so results will display in a pop-up window. See pop-up window, remember pop-up window will always a browser window. Okay, currently what is the browser you are using? In the same browser in a separate window it is going to display the results. So see output correctly, give the input and check the output. So it will open in a separate pop-up window. It is a browser window and displays the results here. Okay, suppose in any requirement if you need any results in a separate output separate window if you want to display the results, so like that we can compulsory we have to use harness option. But I want you to try one requirement, same requirement try using local action. Okay, what are the requirement I did? Same requirement try to display using local action, but when you are using local action, only difference is, see in local action it will display the results in a dialog box format, not in a browser window. See what is browser window? It is a some particularly, so some browser settings and local host settings which it can access. But what is local action? It will only display in a dialog box only, it is going to display. See generally harness we can also use for internal application pages, we can load external data also we can load using harness. But if you take the local action, only internal application data only we can access. I cannot access local action in order to load any external data. If I want to load, I cannot use local action. But if I want to load internal or external data, both harness will support. But local action will not support for any external data loading. If I want to do, it will not support in the local action, because only internal data. Any if you want to load any internal data, you can go for the local action. But both internal and external data if you want to access, we can go for harness. Okay, see the same requirement here, internal data only, right? You can also try the same requirement using a dialog box format if you want to display the results. Same requirement try using local action also. That is, you will create a new local action for the results page, and we have to configure in the action settings by using launch local action and fill the parameters. Okay, and choose the target option as a modal dialog you have to choose. That is only difference. Okay, so the thing is now the difference between harness and local action is, once again I'll quickly repeat. So in this the requirement is, so display the results in a pop-up window. So when any input is given for the property, So it should display the output in a separate pop-up window. So earlier in the design we have the results page, remove that, and label also you can remove, and then you'll have only these input property and button. And for the results page, create a harness or local action. So I tried this using harness. So inside the harness you'll be calling that section, customer results section you'll be calling, and open the button settings and apply this action. So in the action part, so we have to use the option as launch harness is the name of action. If it is a local action, means launch local is the name of action, and accordingly we need to fill the parameters. So choose the, already the type will be pop-up, will be the default type, and accordingly so fill the parameters and give the name of harness. So automatically it will be loaded. So if you see, the results will display in a separate pop-up window, it will be displayed. So the thing is, difference between local action and harness is, see, in local action only we can display one page only. Other differences also is there, guys. In harness means more than one page also I can load, but local action, how many sections we can map? Only one single section only I can map. But in harness, if you want more than one section also you can load in the harness rule. Okay. Other thing is, using local action we cannot access data from other applications, or external data we cannot access. Only internal pages, only internal application pages only we can access using local action, because the here the format it will support only dialog box or overlay format only it is going to support. So in that case it will not any external application data is there, means compulsory we need to go for harness type. So the results will display in these formats: overlay, dialog box, or replace current page format. In harness means we can call one or more sections we can call, and using this we can access data either from internal or external application data also we can access, both will support. And here we load the data in a separate browser window, and apart from that here the display formats will be like this. So in a current page, replace current page will support pop-up window. Some document format, see, whenever we work on menus and all, then I'll show you what is the document format. See, again menu configuration also mostly using harness only we'll do. Local action also you can use, but most of the cases using harness only we are going to configure the menus also. Okay. So but try the same requirement using local action for this. Okay. So like that harness and all, whenever we work on application, so some cases you may get a chance to customize the predefined harness, and some cases any more than one UI design or any kind of display like a pop-up format if you want to display, or any menu configuration if you want to display. So in such cases also we'll be using this harness rule. But harness, one thing is, we don't map these like how you map flow action or local action in flow. User defined harness we don't map it in the flow rule. Okay, so any user defined harness created mostly in controls, UI controls, even menu is also UI control only. UI controls like links, buttons, menus and all. So under that we are going to configure these harness rules. Okay, so under those control settings, so using this action name called launch harness, so using that we are going to apply these settings and all. Okay. So any questions up to here? Any questions? So that is about this harness. So any questions, anyone? Then next topic will be some routing concepts we are going to discuss. Just I'll give a basic introduction today. So tomorrow we'll be working on the practical. See, basically before routing and all, so before working on some routing concepts, I want to discuss some information. Again, tomorrow in briefly I'll be discussing. See, if you open your operator form, that is your developer ID will be there, right? So which is the rate, admin at the rate alpha is the ID here. Okay. See, as of now, in the personal edition means for this particular ID, we don't have any report to person. See, when you're working in the real time, for every developer, they'll be having some reporting person. Okay, that is, they will be assigned with one reporting ID. So here it will be configured actually. Okay, but in personal edition, it is not configured, right? But in the real time, when any ID is generated for you or any application access is given to you, so they will also assign one reporting ID also to whom you have to report. and who will assign work to you or who will route any work to you. So that all it will be defined under report to. Maximum you'll be having only one reporting person will be there. Okay, maybe your team leader or manager who tech lead or someone will be there as a reporting person. With manager portal access they'll have the access, manager portal access will be there for them. So how to create that reporting id, and what are the different ways to create the manager ids and all. See, the thing is in application when you're working, see access group is there, right? Access group, actually three types of access group options will be there: developer access group, a manager access group, and user portal access group. See, basically apart from your current portal, there are two other portals will be there. One is manager portal and other one is worker, case worker or user portal we can say. So if you have any reporting person mostly will be having access to manager portal access will be there. Okay, so how to create those ids? There are two ways are there: either using save as option we can create, or using from organization cat. But in the real time that is not your task, but to understand the routing concepts which we work on the next session. So if you want to understand the routing concepts, so compulsory we must know how to define this. Okay, so without defining this I cannot work on the routing concepts in the next session. Like that, in the next session you'll also understand what is this team is nothing but work group will be calling. So what are work groups, what are work queues or baskets, that all in the next session you are going to understand, guys. Okay, don't worry if I start also I can't complete. So there are some things like though that is not your role in the real time. See, all these come under organization category. So in your application in the real time you will not create any organization rules, you will not define, but three things will be there which are required to understand the routing concept. Those are how to create operator IDs, how to create work groups and work queues we are going to understand. Other things like division is already generated, calendar will be there built in, organization will be there, unit will be there. Only thing is the remaining three which we have is operator IDs with other access, how to define, how to create work groups and work queues. Tomorrow we are going to understand, and what is its importance in the routing part, so that we are going to understand in the next session, guys. Okay, so go through this. So we'll meet tomorrow. Like a continuation to this. Okay. So thank you.